Dulles Airport's reviled people movers may be lurching into the sunset. That's the headline from the New York Times, and it captures a story that's equal parts nostalgia and relief for anyone who's ever flown through Washington Dulles International Airport. President Trump announced a $22.5 billion redesign plan for Dulles this week. The sweeping proposal includes a new hotel, an airtrain, and a central walking tunnel to connect the terminals. But the detail grabbing the most attention? The plan calls for phasing out the airport's iconic mobile lounges, those shuttles that ferry passengers between the main terminal and the concourses. If you've never experienced a Dulles mobile lounge, picture this: you step off a long, cramped flight, and instead of walking to your gate or hopping on a sleek train, you board what can only be described as a bus on steroids. These flat-nosed, steampunk-adjacent vehicles have been part of Dulles since the airport opened in 1962. They were the brainchild of Finnish-American architect Eero Saarinen, who designed the terminal so passengers would walk just a couple hundred feet from the ticket counter to a mobile lounge, which would then carry them directly to the plane's door. At the time, this was revolutionary. A 1958 promotional video produced by the legendary design duo Charles and Ray Eames made the case with striking numbers. The narrator declared that the grand total of walking done by passengers inside the 10 major airports in 1958 would equal 100 trips across the country, plus 20 walks around the world, plus 4.5 round-trip treks to the moon. Saarinen's solution was meant to slash that walking to almost nothing. But as Syracuse University professor Patrick Penfield notes, other airports experimented with similar people mover systems and quickly abandoned them due to the machine's inefficiencies. And generations of Dulles passengers would agree. The mobile lounges became notorious for being excruciatingly slow, cramped, and nausea-inducing. Comedian Troy Hawk, who describes himself as devastated by their pending removal, wrote that sometimes you see a vehicle so unique it stops you in your tracks as your mind searches for an absent frame of reference. For most travelers, though, the frame of reference is pretty simple: it's a bus that makes you carsick. President Trump put it bluntly this week, quote, "It's an impossible airport. You go off a bus, you get into a train. You get off of a train, you get into another bus," end quote. The $22.5 billion redesign aims to replace that convoluted dance with a straightforward airtrain and walking tunnel system. So the mobile lounges are heading toward retirement after more than 6 decades of service. They were a bold 1962 vision of the future that, for better or worse, became a very specific kind of Dulles folklore. Whether you'll miss the Trundlers or cheer their departure probably depends on how strong your stomach is. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, and that's the story on Dulles's mobile lounges.